we have a huge announcement, and that is that they found over 26,000 absentee ballots that were counted illegally. And Patty's going to describe that. So this is just phase one of our efforts to look at this information from Detroit. But already 26,000 just from Detroit. It's really a huge development. We have the facts, we have the goods, we have the envelopes, we have the absentee copies of the absentee ballots.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Thanks for William being here. Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be talking about several different subjects. We're going to be talking about what's going on with the Detroit election reports and how it's igniting the debate. And I think the biggest debate will anything come out of it? That should be the biggest debate. And also we're going to be talking about Lindsey Graham's death in the Iran war. So first thing we're going to talk about is what's going on with Detroit with this investigation. They, as you saw in that video, they found 26,000 ballots that they know should never have been counted. Now, Trump lost in 2020 in Michigan by like 150,000 ballots, but there's a lot of other shenanigans that happened during that election, such as bringing ballots from another state to this state, to that state, and so on and so forth. You had a lot of weird stuff going on, and you also had people putting pizza boxes in front of windows where they're counting ballots and a whole bunch of other crap that people are wondering, hey, what's that all about? And of course, we never found out. And the thing is, these 26,000 ballots are interesting. We'd like to know more about them, but will anything come of it? What do you think, William?
I don't want to be like Debbie Downer, but there was a thing, I forget what state it was in, but some court ruled that, hey, your investigations are null and void because the statute of limitations have ran out for this kind of stuff.
Well, statute of limitations, I mean, the Supreme Court, right after the election, I think it's like in late December, early June, they made a decision saying it doesn't affect the elections anymore because elections are over. You should have made this claim before the election. So the thing is, I like talking about the 2020 election because I don't think it needs to happen again. And there's certain things we need to do to stop it. That's the reason the investigations are important, to see how they did it in order to prevent it from happening again. But the idea that some people have that we could fix what happened in 2020, look, it's unfixable now. It's already happened. It's history.
Yeah, and anybody to be held criminally accountable for it, the statute of limitations have now surpassed all that. So you're going to have to figure out a way to, it could have been done easily. There was a small window of opportunity in the very beginning of Trump taking office. And all the trusted planners out there that were like, oh, don't worry, there's a plan. You just sit back. Pam Bondi is rocking and rolling. She's not talking about it because she's working so hard on it. And I'm like, no, I think she's actually dropping lawsuits against big pharma because she kind of worked for those people before she became the whole thing and the whole. So, didn't she also, she was like, it's a off subject, but, RFK Jr. was like, hey, this fluoride's bad. She's like, don't matter. Put it back in there. It's like, wait a minute, Pam.
I don't think it's fluoride. I think it was actually a petrochemical that they use for crops. I can't remember what the name of it now.
No, there's a fluoride thing too.
Yeah, it starts with a D though. What I'm talking about, I can't remember the name of it.
A lot of stuff. A lot. Yeah, it was fluoride.
Well, that right there. The thing is, Trump came out and said, "Hey, we're not gonna allow you to sue the oil industry or the chemical industry that makes this particular product because it's important for America and our war footing, I guess." And so the military industrial complex, I guess. And so that's a big blow to Maha as well as to MAGA, because the idea was, look, we're going to actually change things and start actually doing the right thing for the American people and start bringing justice. And what happened, it just ain't happening. Don't get me wrong, RFK Jr. has done what he could since he's been in office in the since he's been in office when it comes to Maha stuff. But the thing
Right.
is, a lot of the stuff that he wanted to do, he's getting fought by the deep state as well as even by people in the administration itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's another part. I don't want to get off of the weeds of that, but we're talking about election stuff, and that I'm bringing forward that information to let you know that, like, hey, there's just not a lot happening, and so my confidence level, especially with somebody like Todd Blanche, of anybody of significance, where you'd actually start dismantling anything that's been put in place of many years of corruption, just isn't going to happen. And Matt, I think I made this comment a few videos back that we did on my channel, and I hate to dishearten people, but the Save America Act is a wonderful thing. I think that voter ID is great. However, if you infringe on states' rights, they have the ability to move in a different direction. So there's a Save America Act. If there's any way possible it could be passed and everything, they'd have to figure out you'd have to about amend the Constitution to try to get it to be a thing, because blue state or whatever state that benefits from not having voter ID would be like, hey, we're now it's just federal. If it's a federal election, maybe they could enforce that. But
here's the thing. I agree with you. The federal elections, that's one thing. The state elections, that's a whole nother.
Well, and see, the thing is, well, you're right. And so, but what I was getting at earlier, my point is like right now, federal elections aren't really in the crosshairs as much as they used to be, because a lot of, not just Soros, but there's another guy, I can't remember the name. He lives in China, and he's been sort of the second. So there you go. Yeah. They focus a lot of their energy on the grassroots state stuff, because they do realize
they're starting from the bottom, working to the way to the top.
It's exactly, and that's where we need voter ID, we need secure elections there, but it's really hard to get states on board.
That's how you're getting some of these sheriffs that aren't willing to work with ICE to deport people,
or do any kind of investigating related to election manipulation.
Yeah, I'm thinking more deportation, because Trump.
Well, that too, yeah. But it's some kind of shenanigans.
That's a big thing Trump made a promise on, and it hasn't really come to fruition yet.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it would. I mean, it's been almost 2 years, and he's forced deportation, like maybe 1 million people. And if you include the people that deported themselves, which I think you could do a lot more, like, I don't know, take away benefits, that'll make people leave. Make sure they can't get a job in the United States. Make sure corporations or companies can't hire them. If you do, for each person that you have hired that's illegal in the United States, you get fined $1 million. You know what? Majority of people aren't going to do that. So the thing is, the illegals that are here won't be able to get a job, won't be able to get funds from the federal government. There's no reason for them to stay.
Yeah, but then you'd have, just this is how this would play out. If that were to be the case, then our Mockingbird media, which would, like, recently, and I'm not trying to go too far, they had an incident with ICE here today, or some kind of shooting. So this obviously just a little bit of movement that's been going on. This is a whole thing. It's going to be another situation where somebody charged the ICE agent, I think, with a vehicle. The media is going to spin it like, ICE is just bad people, and so they're just trying everything they can. But what will happen is if we had real enforcement like that, so far as just making people self-deport, you would have the media would come in there and say, look how awful America is to human beings. Look, this man here is homeless because he can't get a job.
Look, they'll do that either way.
I know. Well, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you.
So you might as well go ahead and do it anyway. But anyway, let's go ahead and get back into these election things real quick, because I got some videos to show on that. I got another one with Steve Bannon talking to, what's his name? The guy from Gateway Pundit about
Epstein.
About the guy from Gateway Pundit about the 26 absentee ballots. Let's go ahead and check that out.
That's right. He's not talking to Epstein in this one. My bad. Emails, guys. Did Bannon actually take a bath for this? Yeah, he did. He cleaned up a little bit.
Hoft, what you guys have done the last 6 years is nothing short of magnificent. Talk to me today about what you're revealing. We got Phani McMurray on, we got Phani on from Trust the Vote or Track the Vote. we've got your team. So tell me, give me the overview before I go to Patty and Phani.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you. This is really exciting today. I came on your show back in September and I announced that Yehuda Miller, an activist from New Jersey, had secured over 1 million documents from the 2020 election in Detroit, Michigan. Since that time, Patty and Phani took charge of the efforts to go through these ballots, these envelopes, the rest of the information that was secured, including I believe we have QVF files, tapes, and the tapes are from each precinct in
hold
Detroit.
it, but hold it. I want to make sure people get the narrative here. This is what they called you, the biggest wingnut of all. You're out there yammering about Michigan. You're a kook. You're a wingnut. They're suing you for every different thing. But eventually, you got the receipts, right? After a long struggle. And this is what's so important about what happened in Fulton County. This is what's so important of what Pulte and John Solomon are looking at. The receipts are out there. Just good people have to get their hands on them. So you had a long struggle to get the receipts, and then you turned Patty and the team loose, correct?
Absolutely. And Patty managed over 100 volunteers in Michigan. They went through the envelopes, and that's what they're reporting on today. We have a huge announcement, and that is that they found over 26,000 absentee ballots that were counted illegally. And Patty's going to describe that. So this is just phase one of our efforts to look at this information from Detroit. But already 26,000 just from Detroit. It's really a huge development. We have the facts, we have the goods, we have the envelopes, we have the absentee copies of the absentee ballots, and so it's great that Patty and they work so hard. I can't tell you how many times I talked to Patty. And she's just.
Okay, so in this next video, I'm going to be showing you, this is where Patty's going to talk about what she found. And let's go ahead and take a look at that too, real quick. Let me bring it up.
Okay.
Years. Turn to Patty. This is exactly like Fulton County. This is exactly like all those patriots down there we've had on the show. These are people that have stood in the breach for years and years and years and years, and they've had no support whatsoever by the official Republican Party. Okay? They've had no support. These people, just like in Georgia, these are patriots that are not going to back down. This is what the American Revolution was about. There's every opportunity to quit. There's every opportunity to go back to your home and just do your own business. But they refused to do it 250 years ago. And that's why we got the greatest country in the world today. It's in Georgia and in Michigan. Patty, tell me about the extent of this and the scale of it, ma'am, of what you guys have done and these accomplishments. Put it in people's faces. Where are the candidates in Michigan talking about this? Rogers, if you want to win the Senate seat, you better get all over this. If you ignore this, then, dude, you're going to crash and burn. Patty McMurray.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Steve. This truly is a grassroots effort. We do have over 100 volunteers that have been pouring through documents that were obtained via a FOIA lawsuit. The city of Detroit and Wayne County originally rejected the FOIA request, so Yehuda sued them, won the lawsuit, and came back with almost 1 million documents from the election, from the 2020 Detroit election. I was a poll challenger there. Jim and I have reported extensively. We've broken almost every major story out of Detroit as it relates to the elections. And as you mentioned, we've been mocked and criticized for our efforts. Even though every single time we break a story, we always bring the receipts. In this case, we really brought the receipts. And the beauty of this story is that the receipts came from the city of Detroit. So the evidence that we were working on was provided to us by the city of Detroit. And in the article, we go into a little bit more detail, but the thing that we've been primarily...
Now, guys, just to let you know, in Detroit, they had to do the same thing in Detroit that they did in Fulton County, where they had to force these people to keep these ballots for over 2 years, because normally states keep ballots for 22 months to 24 months, depending on the state. And they have kept these ballots for almost 5 years now, actually 6. And thank goodness for that, because that allows them to actually look at the ballots and determine what's going on with them. Are they real? Are they fake? What kind of shenanigans was happening in Detroit back in 2020? And this is important because you want to prevent this from ever happening again. And this is one way of doing it, to see how they did it. And not only in Detroit are they able to do this, they're starting to do this also in Fulton County, obviously. But one place they didn't do it at, which is quite a shame, is Maricopa County.
Yeah, that was that dude passed away. That district attorney who was working at what was his name?
He wasn't a district attorney, he was the attorney general.
Yeah, there you go. Attorney. He was that was Brnovich.
Yeah.
Dang, that's weird, ain't it? Because you reckon that sauce got him? That Fauci sauce took played a role.
I don't know, possibly, but I think what happened with those ballots. See, they had the audit that went on for about almost 6 months after election. They were promised we're going to find out the truth about what happened and so on and so forth. And they pretty much did. But the thing is, it's an example of
the courts being weak.
Well, the thing is, once someone's in office, because it didn't, my point is there's no constitutional remedy to fix anything when something like that happens. When it comes to a stolen election. Not only that, it's only Arizona that they found out what happened. They didn't find out what happened in Georgia till recently. The same thing also in Michigan, Wisconsin.
Well, if memory serves me correct, there were states that were looking to do a Maricopa style audit. And then after the Department of Justice and our military got involved with intelligence planes that flew around the place the whole time, intimidation from federal authorities, and then lawsuits that later follow suit, it kind of deterred other states from doing that.
The lawsuits was actually filed and led by Mark Elias, who's a
Clinton attorney,
a Clinton ally and attorney. He was also part of the Russiagate hoax as well. But anyway, he's the one that actually was doing most of these lawsuits when it comes to these states. When it comes to
either way, there was an intimidation campaign that was ran.
He's the one that was preventing a lot of these states from being able to do what Maricopa County did when it comes to these forensic audits. That's the reason you didn't see one in Georgia. That's the reason you'd see one in Wisconsin, because those are 2 states we're talking about doing it. Michigan and Pennsylvania. Mexico and Pennsylvania was not. Now, Mexico, you're talking about
New Mexico.
You're talking about one particular county. And even if they did do it there, the thing is, it wouldn't have been enough votes to win the state anyway.
Yeah, right.
And so I think that would have been a waste of time, be quite honest with you, and waste of resources. I think that resources should have been better off being used in either Wisconsin or Georgia. But either way, the point is, I even brought this up whenever, and the heyday of when it was going on, I was like this, I do not see the point in pushing the idea that you're going to be able to change who's the president of the United States 6 months after the election. Because first thing, say you prove that there was fraud and at least 3 states should have changed and go to Donald Trump. The problem is there's no repercussions in the Constitution that allows you to do that and allows you to actually put someone in power that should have won. There's nothing there. So, and a lot of people kind of poo-pooed on that, got angry I said that. And I was like this, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the truth about what the Constitution says and about what you're allowed to do and what you can't. There's nothing there that allows you to do that. Now, the thing is, the reason you had January 6th happen is because the main purpose of it was to prevent them from actually investigating in Congress when it comes to what happened during an election, because there's the 1877 Act. That right there would allow the House, Senate, and the Supreme Court to choose delegations that would go into this investigation. And the investigation would last until they actually found out the truth, which would take a month.
So what you're getting at is the one and only chance that we had at any kind of mitigation in the situation would have been the when they were. By the way, Pelosi fixed that. Was whenever the electors,
whenever they're whenever they're certifying an election in
right.
Yes.
And it's sad, but now that's been completely annihilated because they did did they do a constitutional amendment to make sure that it was
what they've done is fast tracked it where they're skipping a lot of that stuff. But the thing is they can't change that amendment without another amendment, and that would take 2/3 vote in both the House and Senate to do that, and you're not going to get that.
No, so now there's no way to contend a manipulated federal election.
Actually, no, there is. They still allow you to do that. They just fast tracked it a bit, where it's supposed to be like just straight there. But the thing is, if you have a problem, you can actually slow it down if you want to. Really, in my opinion, it hasn't changed all that much overall. But a lot of people are going to argue it has. But the thing is, in order for you to change the Constitution, you got to do an amendment. In order for an amendment to happen, you have to have 2/3 vote, and they've never got that.
Yeah, we'll never get, the time to do amendments is whenever you have a great, powerful majority. Now that you could have bad things come out of that, or you can have good things come out of that. But the unfortunate deal is what people fail to grasp is there are a lot of good things that Trump has done, but they're all executive orders, and those are only temporary. And we've had a pretty decent majority in the Republican Party that could have easily codified more than half. So, some of it, quite a bit of it. Maybe some of it may have been overturned by Supreme Courts later on through lawsuits and all that. But at least, they could have got something done. But they've made it a point to do absolutely just the opposite of nothing and side with Democrats and actually work against the Republican Party, their own party.
Well, I'm going to have to defend one thing. How many? I think Trump has over, 400 executive orders, and Republicans have only codified 50 of them. Right, which are really small. These are really small orders that really mean nothing. They're more virtue signaling more than anything else.
Exactly. Yeah,
they're not big things like, perfect examples, the Save American Act. But we got a little bit more of this video. We're going to go ahead and get into that. But this is another example of how, be quite honest with you, the Republicans hate Trump just as much as the Democrats do.
Yeah. Lindsey Graham hated Trump. So does Mark Levin.
Focused on since September. So this has been a 9 months long project, is looking at the absentee ballot envelopes. In the state of Michigan, you cannot vote absentee without an accompanying absentee ballot envelope. On the outside of the envelope, the voter has to sign the envelope and date it, and it has to be stamped by an official stamp at the clerk's office too. And then it also has to include the ballot number that's inside the envelope. So those are the key checkpoints: the signature on the envelope, and then the ballot number on the outside of the envelope that was written by the clerk's office has to match the ballot number that's inside the envelope. Otherwise, it's not a legitimate vote or ballot. So what we've discovered is that originally, when we got the envelopes from the FOIA demand, we discovered that we had, I think it was 155,000 envelopes. The reported number from the city of Detroit, the official reported number of absentee ballots that were counted was 174,384. So we already knew that we were working with a large deficit. What we didn't know is how large that number would be. I'm going to let Phani jump in and explain what he did.
But yeah. You know,
I don't know about you, but I got a simple way of fixing this shit. Get rid of the mail-in ballots. Get rid of the
yeah,
machines. You know?
yeah. That would make a big difference. I think though there was what Republican guy? What did he buy? He bought out
Dominion.
Dominion. They try. Yeah, there's so Mike Lindell, which I haven't heard much out of lately, running
Really?
for governor.
I've heard a lot from him.
Well, he comes and goes through my feeds. You know, he was on InfoWars a couple of times, and but
I've seen him on America's Voice and stuff like that. He's still,
right, yeah, you'll see, yeah. But he was challenging a lawsuit against those people, and they said that they would drop their lawsuit if he would stop talking about the machines, and he said he wasn't going to do that. And then after that, they dropped him anyways.
They dropped him anyway, yeah.
And he still hasn't stopped. He's like, but I'm not letting up. He's like, there's problems.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the guy who bought it is supposedly friends with Trump. I don't know if that's true or not, but if you look at the polls when it comes to a Republican primary, which is going to be August 11th, the Republican primary in Minnesota is August 11th. He's in first place right now,
yeah,
by like 6 or 7 points. It just depends on the day and what the polls are saying. But last time I saw it was 6 or 7 points, and I think he might be the nominee. If he's the nominee, will he win? Will he lose?
Well, first of all, Matt, you have a great take on this. We talked about this before. We've got a lot of really strong people that have been running that are outside of the establishment for some reason. They're
going to screw them. They're not going to donate any money to them. The RNC won't.
The RNC won't donate any money, but it seems like they always will put in the establishment. They use algorithms with the machines. They use mail-in ballots to back it up and backfill it with people that haven't cleaned off the voter rolls.
Yeah. See, I got a theory that
is it a conspiracy theory by any chance?
I think it's a pretty good theory because if you watch Jonathan or Stephen Turley, if you watch him, he's shown the numbers when it comes to 2008 and 2024. Whoever's ahead in registrations always wins the general election when it comes to president. Okay. Always. Mm-hmm. And normally it's within half a point to a point from it. So if, for example, in 2008, Obama and the Democrats were ahead by 11% in registrations, they won by 11%, right? And the popular vote. And then if you look at the rest of the time, it's the same way. The only difference is if you look at 2016, obviously Hillary Clinton won by 2%, but she was ahead by 2% in the popular vote, but she was also ahead 2% when it comes to registrations. But the thing is, Democrats, they're so focused being in cities, and they can't get votes outside of cities all that much. Not like the Republicans can. It's to the point where they're only in they're focused in cities and certain states to the point where they have to win the popular vote by at least 4 to 5% for them to win a presidency. Okay. That's the reason Biden won by 4.5%, right? If it wasn't for him winning 4.5%, if he would have won the popular vote by only 3%, he would have lost.
Yeah.
And that's the reason they had to get those registrations in and get those people's votes in. That was also why you needed to I was going to say absentee voting, the mail-in voting. The mail-in voting is really important part of this algorithm they have created with these machines,
exactly,
and the registrations, in order to make sure that the Democrats can win these elections. Now, if you look at 2024, the Republicans were ahead by about 2% when it comes to registrations, and would they win by about 1.5% when it comes to popular vote. That's what Trump did. So I think you're going to see this keep on going when it comes to presidency. Now, when it comes to House and Senate, I think it's actually done a little bit different. House, Senate, and also lower races. I think it's more set up where the algorithm's set up for the particular candidate that is the incumbent. And so whoever's the incumbent has that algorithm set for them where they'll win almost every time, whether it's so the only time the algorithm doesn't work though for them is in a primary. That's when you can actually get them out of office. Perfect example, if you look at for Democrats, they have lost their primaries. You also have at least a couple of Republicans that have lost their primaries too. And it's because the algorithm doesn't work in that way because you don't have Democrats and Republicans voting at the same time. Generally, they're voting separately.
Right. Which sounds like they'll be changing some tactics or figuring out a way to do that together because some states do that.
Well, at that point, in my opinion, the primaries are actually bought off by big money. You know, that's what I think happened to Lindsey Graham. That's also what I think. I'm sorry, Massey. It happened with Lindsey Graham also, and some of these other places where you're like this. How could this person win again? And then you have places like the Democrats where they have gotten rid of the incumbent that was actually taking big money.
So like, have you not noticed though, and this could be just coincidental, but there'll be certain areas where they kind of have an idea who people are going to vote for. And if they feel like that person's not going to be their guy, then all of a sudden the machines have hiccups. Something weird happens.
Yeah. Sometimes you have the machines that aren't working properly. They run out of paper. They have a Sharpie gate incident. Yeah.
Something weird. Yeah. Like they like because they already kind of get an idea, how would they have it? How would they have this inside information of like who's going to vote for who? And I'm going to tell you, I have a pretty good idea that there's a good chance that some of these things that you're using right here report back to a system that kind of records your opinions and says, this guy has this opinion. He lives in this area and there's a lot more people like him. This is an area that we need to focus on for strategic machine failure so that we can kind of suppress a Jim Crow style, a digital form of that to keep this guy from being able to get, maybe that's just something.
Even when they do polling, a lot of that stuff is kept and sold to campaigns, and they use this to set demographics out where they can know where their voters are and when they're not. That's stuff.
Yeah, that's why whenever they ask me questions on like polling and stuff, I don't want to answer them because it's bad enough you can collect what I'm doing on this right here. It's not enough. You got to call and ask me. You don't know. Just look. It's all right here. You see my likes and my hearts and my ups, do's. So basically,
that's the other thing. Perfect example. If you're one of these people that watch a lot of YouTube, the thing is on your account, they sell your information from your account when it comes to the stuff you watch to other people, and they can look at what you're watching, determine what side of the aisle you're voting on, and whether or not you might be more pliable to vote for a Democrat or for a Republican, whatever it might be. Or
put on a dress if you're a man.
Yeah, whatever it might be. That guy goes with whatever it might be. anyway, my point is, it's one of those things where our information's being pretty much sold to actually determine who they think you will vote for, and they'll push you in certain directions.
Cut your brake lines.
No, well, I wouldn't say that. I would say push you with certain directions with advertising, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I remember a lot of weird things that happened in 2020. Brian Kemp's daughter's boyfriend's car just bumps into a bus and explodes like it was hit with a Scud missile. Wasn't that Brian Kemp's daughter's boyfriend or something that was working on some kind of something? Then the barn burns down. The barn just burnt down. Oops,
Well, Are you talking about where there was ballots in the barn and stuff? I remember
Yeah.
that. I don't think that was in Georgia. I'm pretty sure that was Karen Fann's daughter.
I remember somebody
Arizona.
some had an accident, and the dude was working on some campaign stuff, but apparently he must have knew something, and all of a sudden, his car has an accident, a small minor accident, that the car just completely looked like it was melted with some kind of thing. So the whole front of the car was just completely exploded. Like, wow, this is very weird. He just died suddenly. Yeah. My wife found us. I put an advertisement out on my thing because we anybody that happens to watch this, thank you, because we're kind of we're restructuring some of our techniques here. We've got stuff going on behind the scenes, and
we're going to go ahead and change subject on something else.
Shift a little gears there. We're going to shift gears.
We're going to go to Lindsey Graham's death. Now, I think me and William have different opinions on what's going on here. I tend to look at it and be like, "This."
No, I mean, I'm like Lindsey Graham at a ladybug factory. I'm very open-minded.
I'm very open-minded too. But here's the question I have. A lot of people believe they could have died in Ukraine, either at the ammunitions place where he got toured,
or the hotel,
or the hotel where both of them blew up. At some
look
point
and see if we have a missing male escort. That would tell us a lot.
Well, I'm pretty sure all their escorts are out of town. But anyway, my point is, I don't believe it, and I'll tell you why I don't. It doesn't really make any sense to me why they would do this. You know why? Because I'm sorry, but Ukraine would be the first one to come out and said, "Hey, a great American hero of ours, Lindsey Graham, died here in Ukraine because of Russia blowing up our ammunition depot, or actually it was a manufacturing company, or our at the hotel. The cowards killed him and several other people. And the thing is, what it would have done is it would have it would have escalated a war between Ukraine and Russia. Not only that, it would have convinced the Senate and the House to start giving money to Ukraine again. That's what would have happened. It would have passed a bill to start giving money to Ukraine, and Trump would have signed it. And he would have said, "I'm signing this in regards to my friend Lindsey Graham." That's what
a really good and dear friend who always stood by my side 24/7, who never spoke against me once.
My point is, the deep state would never have allowed that kind of a crisis go to waste. Would never.
Mm-hmm.
Never. And not only that, some people are believing maybe the Iranians were involved in this as well. I've heard that. And here's my problem with this. Number one, they're kind of busy. I mean, and number two, they don't have the sophistication as the Russians or the United States or the Chinese to do something like this and make it look like a hard.
Yeah, the Iranians aren't very espionagistic.
Well, I would say they're more like the mafia. 2 shots in the back of the head are done. They're more like that.
See, in Russia has very espionage technologies. So does Israel. What if Israel did it? We can blame everything on them anyway.
See here, you know why my conclusion that didn't happen is because Alexander Dugin, who's who's Vladimir Putin's brain, said he thought Mossad did it, and I was like, that tells me Mossad had nothing to do with it. Number two, why would they get rid of their biggest person in Congress?
The best I can figure is somehow or another Lindsey Graham might have double crossed. Because people do this stuff. Maybe I threw this out there in the comment section just to get people to talk a little bit, because sometimes I just say off the wall stuff and I don't really, at this day and age you can just do that, just to see what sticks. And somebody asked me, who do you think took out Lindsey Graham, and they gave several selections in their little X poll, and that sounds weird, X poll, but anyways. your Twitter poll, and Russia, Ukraine, a couple others. I said it was Israel because he double crossed them. Now, like I said, nothing to back that up. But what if he did that? What if he said, you know what? Somebody offered me 65, an unlimited amount of bubble wands that I could take to Disneyland to try to entice a smaller person to come with me on one of these rides.
Okay.
And
all right, let's get in. Okay. Here's my thing with the whole thing. No one knows when your expiration date is.
Well, if you take a bunch of Fauci sauces like you saw him doing, that kind of escalates things.
Look, only God does. Mm-hmm. And I look at it and I'm like, his expiration date just happened to be that day. And I'll be honest with you, I've decided to look a little bit deeper into the timeline. The timeline fits. I'm sorry, it does. People that are saying that the timeline doesn't, it's because they want something to be there that's not.
Well, we like to toss the ideas around the old back of the building, but like,
well, there's some people who are trying to get clicks off of it too.
Oh yeah.
They try to make money, and guys, you can tell we're not making money off this.
If we could, they'd take it from us. But dude, so what I do find quite humorous is like they were talking about, can you believe that Iran threatened Trump's life? Like they would assassinate Trump. And I don't want Trump to be assassinated, by the way. I'm just saying, but let's compare apples to oranges. What happened to all of their leaders when they came to the table to negotiate? Could you, just in the world of like, hey, can you, I'm not saying that anything should happen to Trump, but let's just take a 50-foot view and look down and say, well, I can kind of see. And then on top of that, Iran was making fun of the fact that Lindsey Graham is no longer around anymore. And I think it was libs of TikTok that were like, people are Iran is celebrating the such and such a Lindsey Graham. And I was in the comment section, I was like, I think 2/3 of America might be as well. You've got to, that's the sad thing about it. Well, I'm not, wishing bad on nobody.
I'll say this. I think about 2/3 of America might be indifferent to it.
Yeah, they're not really losing any sleep over it. That's sure.
That's exactly right. they're like, oh, another warmonger gone. Shit happens,
Don't get me wrong. You've got the boomers out there that are just, so.
And then you have the governor of South Carolina. He chose his sister to replace him. Here's the thing. Trump came out and he's like, I got a great idea who should replace Lindsey Graham. And it should be his sister. Right. Well, then you hear the governor in his speech. I have the speech. I don't see the point in playing it. But anyway, in his speech, he was like this. I had this idea that his sister should replace him for the interim seat for right now. And so after he made that decision, he called her, made sure she was okay with it. Then he calls the president. Tells him the idea, and the president's like, that's a great idea. And then Donald Trump puts a True Social out saying it was his idea.
Yeah. Leave it to Trump to say, boss man. Like if you put a suggestion in the suggestion box at one of his companies, he's like, and this was my idea.
My idea.
Damn. I was the one that said we need little rugs for our feet that hurts our knees. Dude. Yeah. I've got a great idea to increase production at my companies to make my Trump vodka. We're gonna have little cushion rugs for these people so that their feet doesn't hurt.
No. We're gonna have cushion rugs for their fucking knees, so when they're bending down, shuck them out. They won't hurt their knee.
So that, and Trump takes credit for that. Of course, that was the suggestion box that I came up with. I was like, my knees hurt for whatever reason. Matt. But so yeah, so there's that. But the thing is like we were talking about this earlier on the phone, because that's how rich white girls say phone. They go phone. And they're at home. They're at home on the phone.
At home on the phone.
Yeah, so her political experience is not really existent of any sort, other than the fact that now here's the thing. bless Lindsey Graham's heart. He did actually when he had some his parents, or no, they're not with them anymore, and so in an early age, yeah, I'm trying to think of a safe word for YouTube because everything I say just triggers YouTube.
Passed away. Works.
Okay, well they did that. So she at 13 years old. I'm not sure exactly how old Lindsey Graham was, but old enough that he kind of took the reins of being the father figure in her life. And then through his political career, she was right there and sort of looked up to him. She pretty much, is on board with this neocon ways. I'm sure even if she's not. Considering the situation that she's in now, that you're not going to see anybody that's going to shake the tree of like political correctness and say, "Hey,
I'm going to tell you right now, no one can be any worse."
That's
I'm just telling you, no one can be any worse than Lindsey Graham when it comes to that shit.
I thought about who they chose could be no worse. I'm like,
no, I'm talking about being neocon.
So if she's this. Yeah, because Lindsey Graham, like the day before he checks out, he's like, "Yeah, we're unaliving people and lowering your taxes. I sleep good at night." I'm like,
well, he said that about a year ago. Yeah,
was it a year ago? Okay, well,
it was about a year ago where he said that. Yes.
Okay, well, this was and I'll be with a certain country that till the day I'm no longer with us. Like I said, I can't say anything on YouTube anymore because it's immediate crush. But
speaking of that, though, about the 2020 election, Trump, he's supposed to be having a speech in the Oval Office on Thursday, which I'm going to cover it. So come and watch it over here. But anyway, and he's going to be talking about the 2020 election, about the war in Iran and that thing. So we'll see what happens. And supposedly, what he's going to talk about in the 2020 election is that he's going to announce there's foreign interference in the 2020 election. And my reaction's, no shit. What does the investigation tell you? Who did it? Are you going to talk about that? That's the question. That's the, I guess, $30 million question. Are you going to actually name names? Are you going to actually try to go after people and prosecute them for it? The people that were involved in the United States? What are you going to do? And I already know what he's going to do. Nothing.
Yeah, he's going to say, I've actually criminally referred all this stuff to our acting AG right now, which is Todd Blanche, and Todd Blanche is over there like smoking a cigarette.
Not jack shit's going to happen.
He's smoking a doobie with Bondi. Yeah, they're just sitting over there like Hunter Biden because he wants to get the hand back here. The thing is like what the problem we run into is when nothing happens to this kind of corruption. There's a couple of reasons why, but of course it perpetuates more of this stuff to happen. But you and I had a little bit of a thing, and this isn't going to fall good on the ears of the people who are Trumplicans. Don't get me wrong, I voted for the guy. Okay, so I'm not, and I want things to be America first. The whole MAGA thing is a little bit worn out.
That's why the channel's called America First, American Only Podcast.
Right. And America First means that we don't send our money and our blood, our treasure to other countries to fight wars for them, unless it's for a petrodollar. But that's a whole other video. But thing is we really want to focus our energy on this country and how we can make things better and make America, the country that it should be. That it is still great, but we really need to get behind something better than what we're doing right now. Okay. So the deal is if Republicans were to have gained control of this apparatus, this jumpsuit apparatus of voter manipulation, would they use it in their favor to try to fudge for the fact that they've done some really piss poor things in the past few months or a year or two that have kind of turned off a lot of the voter base that they had, which were a lot of the people who were independents, the young people, a lot of people who were just tired of the system that came in there and really got Trump over the edge, even though they were using algorithms in the 2024 election. If they, if they could have got it, they would have, but they realized there was just no way to climb that mountain. would that be a thing? Could they would the Republicans do that?
Well, a lot of people out there have, have the thought process, the ends justify the means, and that's
Right.
people in both parties. So, and Trump has that viewpoint on things too. He's done a lot of things in office that I agree with, and he's done a lot of things I don't agree with. He's done a lot of things that are unconstitutional. This war in Iran is a perfect example. So him doing something like that wouldn't shock me. I just wouldn't, because the ends justify the means. It keeps them from being. It keeps them from first thing being impeached. It'll also keep them from being able, because the Democrats don't run the Senate or the House, they can't investigate him either. Because the Republicans aren't going to do investigations on Trump.
Well, you can bet they are. They are investigating him in case they do gain power, so they'll already be ahead of the game.
They've already started it. But the thing is, in order for it to come to fruition,
to do anything,
they need to have power in both House and Senate. Let's just say if your thesis is right, or my thesis, or whoever's thesis.
We talked about this. I don't disagree with you.
The idea that the Republicans could take over this apparatus that they have created, where they could keep the House and Senate and make sure that Democrats wouldn't go into power, so they couldn't investigate Trump and some of the dealings he's done when it comes to his family and stuff like that, kind of like what the Republicans did in the last 2 years of Biden's administration.
He's done He's actually surpassed the inside the whole family business insider trading. He's like,
he's got his other son-in-law involved in stuff too. Now he's involved. Tiffany's husband, and I was just like this, boom, like really,
If people were upset
at crazy,
the people were upset at the kind of like quote unquote financial corruption, the using of position and selling of position, that they're mad at the Bidens for that, then you really need to look and see what's happened recently in the Trump administration. It's worse. It's a lot worse. And the sad thing is I think the corruption that lies in the Biden administration, so far as family dealings and all, was pretty old school. It was just they were using
most of it also happened whenever he was vice president.
Vice president, yeah. So it wasn't even like so that's even like lesser bad. But the deal we run into now is the Trump administration, or Trump and his family, are really into digital currency,
AI and digital currency.
And so what's dangerous is the fact that is it coincidental now that these technocracy companies have they've gotten the ear of Trump, and they've actually are circling the wagon, as per se, in America right now, to geofence us with digital AI technology, and he's not saying a word about it, not making any kind of fuss. As a matter of fact, at one point, Palantir is definitely on the radar of stuff that's bad, but there's other companies out there that are just as bad. But the thing is we'll just use Palantir because that's the brand that we all recognize.
Well, that's the brand that's being used mostly in Israel, and also a few other places in the Middle East.
Right. Yeah, it's not an accident. A lot of people don't realize that these flock cameras and all Israel's using these to gather lots of data on American citizens for whatever reason. It's really dangerous.
And they sell a lot of that data to China too.
Exactly. What Israel doesn't, what China doesn't steal from us, Israel sells it to them. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Because they're our greatest allies. And so the thing you run into, like I said, is that there's a lot of players, a lot of key players that people aren't really acknowledging because they're just so fixated on the fact that Trump, which, don't get me wrong, I voted for the guy, but whenever something happens, that's like driving a motor with a connected rod about to come out the side of it. Stop. Let's look at things. Something's wrong. Don't just pretend, it's this a 350, and you just don't. It's knocking real bad. Something's wrong. We've got to really take an assessment here. And between the insider trading that's compromised Trump's legitimacy and his presidency, could drive him to do crazy things, because whenever people do criminal stuff, they have to cover it up and they have to deal with people who deal with that. And those people are criminals themselves. And so that ends up putting yourself in a position of being compromised. And now, with, like I said, I'm really just concerned at this whole digital push, geofencing, technocracy that's winning hyperdrive that we never even. Yes, some infrastructure was being put in place during the Biden regime, but you are looking at a pedal to the metal, top fuel dragster, wide open throttle of digital push. And just
this also explains why Trump is so interested in like Vancouver, who's trying to get independence from Canada. He's also interested in Canada itself, and also Greenland. And the reason is because it's cold there. And this is a perfect place where they could start putting some of these data centers, because the reason data centers don't, in my opinion, they're not a good place. A good place to put them is down in the south. It's too warm, it's too hot, and they use a lot of water. Okay, if you put them somewhere up north, they'll use less water because it's naturally cool. So I think that's another reason he wants, places like that, especially Greenland, because not only does he want the oil and gas and the precious minerals, it's also a good place to put data centers because no one lives there either.
Yeah, there's natural resources like gas pockets and all that you can use for generating electricity that you don't have to pipe it in. Yes. They did that with like some of the larger HARP transmitters. They put them in certain areas that were located near energy sources that were already right there, oil, gas, different things, because they use so much power. I do recall that, but that's off subject. But long story short, either way, these data centers aren't for our convenience. They're not to make us, they're not going to bring freedom.
No, they're part of the 2030 project, in my opinion, in order to spy on people in general. But since it's America, it's in order to make sure you can do a social credit score in the United States.
Right, you're right. When you're going to implement a digital currency that's controlled by the government, you've got to have a lot of information on people so that they can qualify under a certain digital. So that means you have to gather a lot of data, and that means basically that you got to have a lot of place to store memory, and so that way you can go back and log in and say, oh, well, look at you over here, liking that whole post about how this certain country has been genociding this other country, and how they were sold not even legitimately even a real country. They were put together by the Rothschilds and organized crime back in the Prohibition era, and they stole a bunch of our nuclear technology that they won't let us look into. I mean, you start liking posts like that, your digital credit score can drop significantly. You might even find yourself a little homeless.
All right. We're going to go ahead and go to the other subject I want to talk about.
Let's shift some more gears.
It has to do with the Middle East. And after we talk about this, it's going to be in the show. And this is the Iran war. Well, as most of you guys know, this thing's back on again, right? They're attacking us.
Back on.
Well, the reason I say it's back on because it's intensified on several different fronts. Now, I've done some research. I've watched some shows that are talking about it. And one thing that I found interesting, it looks like the United States is going to put troops on the ground in Lebanon. And see, what happened was about a month ago.
Wait, I have to raise my hand. I got to raise my hand.
Well, let me finish telling people what's going on here. Lebanon made a peace deal with Israel, right? This is Lebanese government. This is not Hezbollah. They had nothing to do with it. Well, what Trump wants to do, supposedly, this is the idea, he's going to put U.S. forces down on the ground with the Israeli forces as well as the Lebanon army, and they're going to go after Hezbollah and try to decimate Hezbollah. Not only that, he's also made a deal with Turkey to give them F-35s as long as they get rid of the Russia-made systems they have, and they'll give them the F-35s as long as he can convince the president or whatever he is, the leader of Syria, to attack Hezbollah as well. Okay, so that's happening as well. And not only that, today, anyway, what were you going to say before I get into the rest of it?
So if our American troops are in Lebanon, that Israel currently keeps carpet.
Well, they're not there yet. They're not there yet. They're going there.
Well, okay. What is this? This opens up the door for another USS Liberty, because because we already said Trump is part limited.
No, we're going to be working with the Israelis and the Lebanese.
But hold on, listen. Remember we said something about how Trump being sort of part Lyndon B. Johnson a little bit?
It's LBJ, yeah.
Right,
well,
okay.
LBJ was the president when that happened.
No, but I'm saying, but he helped organize the strike against USS Liberty. Allegedly.
I don't believe that part. But
you ask some of the people on the USS Liberty survivors that have this thing, they understand that Israel attacked them, and they say it was an accident, but it was totally not an accident, because if you actually look into the whole details, and even Thomas Massey talks about how it was totally an attack that was definitely not an accident. A long story short, you put troops
we call that
I
believe it's called a false flag. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So right, and the reason for that, because you needed to escalate things so that you could get your America to dig their heels in. So now we put American troops into Lebanon to go after Hezbollah, and then something happens, and all of a sudden,
I will repeat it. It's not only U.S. troops going to be going. It'll have Israeli troops with Lebanese troops, all of them together. Not only that,
so wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait.
The American troops is a really small group of people.
But all it takes is like 3 of them to get blowed up for America to go. And so you don't think for 1 second that Israel won't say?
Well, that's the point. It's the point. The point of it is to cause nationalism. But anyway. Today, what happened between the Yemenis, or Yemen, and Saudi Arabia? Have you checked that out?
It's hard to keep up with everything.
Okay. Saudi Arabia got bombed by the Yemenis. What happened was the Yemenis government, who are different from the Houthis. The Houthis have also there in Yemen as well. They fight each other all the time. Because one of them is Sunni, one of them is Shia. But anyway,
Shia.
The Yemenis government went to Iran for the funeral of Khamenei, right?
Mm-hmm.
They flew back, and the Saudi government decides to take out their runway at their airport for them to land in Yemen. So they had to go to a different airport. And the Yemenis government said they'll face consequences for what they did. And today was the consequences, and they attacked the Saudis. So now you have the Saudis and Yemenis fighting each other. You also have the Houthis fighting the Saudis as well, because they have decided to shut down the Red Sea. So that's getting shut down.
I said in one of my videos there'll be more closures of things coming up.
Yeah, and so now so supposedly, I don't know if this is going to happen. It probably will. They'll go into the Red Sea and go after the ports of Saudi Arabia to take out the ships and stuff like that, and just take out the pipelines that are filling up these boats. And so what I think is going to happen next, it's going to escalate more in the next couple of days, because Israel has a base in Somaliland, which is a new country that just came up about a year ago. It used to be Somali. And now they got their own country called Somaliland. Well, the first country to recognize them was Israel, and they made a pact with Israel, and Israel put a base there. So Israel has a base with the United States, working with the United States in Somaliland. They're going to start attacking the Houthis from there. And then you have another fucking base that the Israelis have in Azerbaijan. Like a lot of the northern territory of Iran that's been attacked was.
You would say, wait a minute. This isn't effective. How does this even help with the petrodollar?
Oh, no, this actually hurts the petrodollar. This is gonna hurt.
I know that. I'm just saying, but it's supposed to. The reason why we have all these military everywhere is to try to maintain control of certain countries so that they keep using our petrodollar. And now we've taken this whole thing out of this. It's all screwed up.
The thing is, the Israelis have decided to take United States. What the United States does, put bases on all sorts of different countries. They have decided to copy that because they have two bases in Iraq. They have one in Somaliland. They have one in UAE, and then they have one in Azerbaijan. Which was that dude that surrounds Iran.
So, like I said, Israel is in competition with America while we work alongside them to become the new superpower. We've heard Netanyahu say that.
They're not going to become a new superpower. They don't have the economy to do it. That's
okay. Wait, but if their economy stays the same, their economy stays the same while they destroy everybody else's economy.
Right.
And then
not only that, common sense will tell you that can't happen because they're losing population too because people are leaving the country. A lot of these people that are moving,
they're Israeli and other places.
They're moving. They're moving to the United States, and they're also moving to Argentina. They're getting out of Israel because Israel's in perpetual war, and I don't believe that one bit. What you just said, in my opinion, I think the Israeli project is done. Okay, it's done. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Not only that, if you look at the election that's going on there, you know who's starting to actually do pretty good? The one camp that believes that we need to that Israel needs to go into needs to worry about their own borders and stop going into these wars and try to make peace agreements with their neighbors. And he's starting to actually gain some traction. He has a really good chance of winning. I don't think he will this time. He might win next time. But the point is, the other candidates...
because there's boomers over there in Israel, just like we got them over here.
Well, the thing is, the point is, the people that are running are noticing that he's starting to get traction. The other candidates, and they're starting to repeat some of the things he's saying.
Even though they don't mean it.
Well, they might not. They might. They're going to do whatever they have to do to actually be politically viable to win. Okay, and if they have to actually adopt some of their competitors' points of view and use them in campaigns, they're going to do it. Kamala Harris did. They're in her campaign. So
she had Nikki, but no, she had Megan Thee Stallion.
Anyway, my point is, I think more likely this war here is what you're seeing with the escalation. It's going to turn out like Russia's war with Ukraine. It's going to last years.
Mm-hmm.
That's my viewpoint. And the thing is, what's going to happen is a lot of the economies around the world is going to retract because you have 20% less oil out there being not being able to be produced because of the Strait of Hormuz being closed, and then you also have the Red Sea closed.
Mm-hmm.
So
I knew that was going to happen.
And the other thing also, it's going to put a lot of pressure on oil as well because all those countries that would go through the Mediterranean, go through the Red Sea, and get into the Indian Ocean that way, they have to go all the way around Africa, which is another 2-week journey and about 2 stops to get more fuel for their boat. So it's a shit show.
At some point, don't they encounter some of the China Belt and Road Project and along the way in that route too? It's like kind of rough.
Well, the Belt and Road Project's down water; it's in land.
Well, I'm saying like they've got.
That's also why the United States took out the railroad on the north because that's part of China's Belt Road Initiative. Whenever they had the first blockade going on, because Trump did blockade again. When they had the first blockade going on, one of the ways they got oil to China was through the railroads.
Yeah.
And now they blew up that bridge, and they're going to have to rebuild it where the railroad was. So they're going to have to find other ways. And they also went through Pakistan and also the Caspian Sea to get oil that way, which that's the way they're going to do it now instead of using the railroad as much.
Ah, James found us. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, we're kind of new. We're new over here, so it's good to see some people pop in there. Yeah, dude, appreciate you.
Well, we're almost at the end of the show, but we weren't going to talk about Mitch McConnell, but I got a video, a proof of life video I want to show you guys of Mitch McConnell. Okay? You know how people are saying that he's dead.
I think I know which one you're going to play. Maybe I do. I don't know, but this is good. I think I know. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see here. While Matt cues it up. I thought it was the one in the casket.
No.
Where he pops up.
Honey, show them you're okay. See, I told you he was okay. Honey, show them you're okay.
There you go.
It's been said that was a photo from 2023, and it was just sort of shifted around a little bit. They added a newspaper in his hand with some editing, so it made it look like it was just the same. You know, he's at the same place, and he's wearing like almost the identical shirt, just slightly tinted a little differently. His wife has got her hand in the exact same spot. She's totally not still in China.
Same outfit. Yeah. Well, she's actually in the United States now. She's been there. She's been in the United States.
She got all her. She got she's already got briefed enough from the CCP party that she works for. She's been a Chi-Com agent for years. I mean, probably since day one.
Well, the thing is, Trump didn't pick that up. She worked for him in his first administration.
Yeah, he did some.
I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh at it because
the thing is, people need to know this stuff because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I know. What position did she work in his first administration? What, transportation or something?
Yeah, it was wasn't chief of staff. I know that, but she worked right along. Right,
I'm pretty sure a transportation. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Let me check.
Well, what's funny is Asian people always hit the gas instead of the brake, run into a building. Matt's talking to the thing. Yeah. A Chi-Com, there was several. Well, what's worse, Chi-Com agent or somebody that was really close to Epstein, like Ed Lutnick? Like, which one is worse? Can anybody figure that one out? It's like, yeah, she's a Chi-Com agent. Well, this guy right here was Epstein's right-hand man. He cut the grass for him. He made pies over there in the Epstein castle.
I am right.
I am right.
She
transportation.
Was the transportation secretary. Yeah.
So what's worse, an Ed Lutnick or a Chi-Com agent?
What's the difference?
Well, I mean, at least she may not have been to Epstein Island.
What's the difference? I don't. Either way, you're picking people that are corrupt. Yeah.
But I mean, like so she basically just informed the Chinese Communist Party what was going on in the administration and everything, and did weird stuff. But Ed Lutnick, is
transportation secretary. First thing, don't have a whole lot of responsibilities. Not only that, they don't have daily ideas of exactly what's going on.
Right. So
it's not like she was getting information when it comes to
military stuff,
military stuff,
right,
or anything like that.
Yeah. She just had her foot in the door. But Ed Lutnick, dirty man, Epstein's right hand man.
Well, he's another. I would also say he doesn't have any of those. He doesn't know any of that situation either. He's no different than transportation secretary.
He's on the airplane with Trump all the time when they're doing things.
No, he's not. He didn't. No, he's not. He didn't go to Turkey?
No, but like there's been videos whenever Trump was on Air Force One, you see a head letting it stick his creepy little head out behind him.
Yeah, but that's every once in a while. That ain't very often. You know, you're picking and choosing. You know, I mean that's like me. I mean that's like me saying that. I see a video with him and Lindsey Graham on his plane. And obviously, they're having a relationship here, even though he was on the plane once.
Trump and Lindsey Graham pounding out some pound cake.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what gave him the heart attack. And
drink your Trump vodka. We go both ways.
But anyway, I think my point is,
now you're picturing Trump and Lindsey Graham pounding it out.
Nasty.
Don't do. Who would be the pitcher on that one? Trump,
Lindsey.
Of course.
Yeah. Lindsey Graham's definitely the catcher.
Yeah, definitely. But then Trump would notice the surroundment of multiple moles that they called ladybugs.
But all right, we're gonna have to end the show. I'm done talking about that. Done. All right, we're gonna have to. Really appreciate it. Please.
Bye, James. Bye, my beautiful wife. Take it easy, everybody out there who's watching this. You made it this far. You're awesome.
Please hit that like button, comment, and share this out to everybody. And if you could, go and subscribe on my channel. It's McWaters Effect. Go subscribe. And I really appreciate it. And go subscribe on William's channel.
Ratchet Production Studios. Where you may or may not see me with a shirt on. But don't worry. It's still professional content. It's just
you might even see something lick his nipple. We'll see what happens. We appreciate you.
You will see. Yeah.